Hi, this is Mark Wade from CenterCityCondos.com at Berkshire Hathaway Fox and Roach Realtors. And in this short podcast, I'd like to talk to you about 220 West Rittenhouse Square. This condominium building is kind of one of the more quiet condominiums on the square, only for the fact that there are about 80 units in the building, if I'm not mistaken. And they don't come up for sale a lot. It's an interesting building. It's got a library on the first, public library, and the commercial space on the first floor. The building itself, it no longer has, but it had what Philadelphia Magazine said one of the least attractive lobbies of any kind of building in town. That's changed. They did a really nice job of making the open space. It's nice and bright. It has big windows. But they really brought it up to 2016, 2017 standards when they redid it. It's a doorman building, and there's also a concierge. So doorman and concierge, every time I go in, there's always two people on duty. And they're always very friendly. I appreciate that. The units in the building range, the building itself is 25 stories tall. There are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom condominium units in the building. There's one in particular. There are a couple in particular. Let me back up. If your condo happens to face the square, so if it faces east, because the 220 sits on the west side of the square, so if your condo faces east, you're looking at the square, and there's going to be a premium for those units that have a square view. Average ceiling height throughout the building is 8 to 9 feet. Some of the penthouses, there may be a bi-level penthouse. I can't say something tells me 25 years ago, I was in the building. I think I saw there was a bi-level penthouse. One of the penthouses recently sold, and without a doubt, the person who buying it is going to be gutting that unit. And it's phenomenal because the penthouses there happen to be very large, and they're very generous in their outside space. That's a real draw, especially to be able to look over Rittenhouse Square. That's kind of nice. So the 220 West Rittenhouse Square is not a dog-friendly building, or at least the last time they set some rules, it was not a dog-friendly building, but they do allow cats. Of course, again, 24-hour doorman, and usually accompanying that is a concierge on duty. There's not a lot to say about the building because there's not a lot of turnover in the building. There are not a lot of amenities. There's not a gym. There's not a pool. There's not parking. Although there are lots of parking options within a block. And that's true of almost any Rittenhouse Square building. The building is not a pre-war and it's not a newer building. I'm going to guess, and this is just a guess, that it was probably built somewhere in the 50s or 1960s. You can get some great space in the building, and values are going to be determined, once again, based upon if you're facing the square or not. But more importantly than anything else, in terms of value for 220 Rittenhouse Square, it's going to be a function of interior condition. Because when I go in the building, sometimes I'll see a nice 1 or 2 bedroom at a really good price, and you walk in, and it's still fairly original condition, or it was upgraded maybe 20 years ago. Then I'll walk into another unit, and it's just dynamite, just like wow, like someone's gone in and gutted the thing and made it really up to today's standards. And one thing that helps the building are the gracious windows. Again, especially if you're facing the square, you have ample windows to bring in the light and to be able to look at the square. And that's true of whether you're facing north, south, east, or west in the building. Although I do not believe there are any really windows that face west in the building. If there are, there's just a few windows that face west. Most face east, north, or south. Anyway, I'm lathering on here. 220. I like the building. I think the location is phenomenal. And there's a real opportunity if you're looking, depending on what your goal is here, whether you're looking for completely rehabbed or something that needs to be rehabbed, the options are usually available when something in the comes on the market in the building. And that's a kind of a rare occurrence. We don't see a lot at 220 popping on the market. It's certainly, you wouldn't call it a transient building. And I think that's a function of the stability of the building is a function of its location and the distribution of the sized units. I mean, if the building were a bunch of studios, of course, it would be very, very transient. But overall, we'll find larger units in 220, which means people move in and they have a tendency, that's their home. It's not a second residence. It's not a student going to med school that's going to sell after 3 years. So the building's not real transient. So anyway, this is Mark Wade lathering on and on about 220 West Rittenhouse Square, sitting on the west side of Rittenhouse. And there you go. Questions, comments, or concerns? Pick up the telephone, push the buttons on the front of it, 215-521-1523. Thank you.